you are tired of the power struggles and emotional meltdowns when it comes to chores, and I'm not necessarily talking about just your kids, then you are in the right place. This totally changed the game for me when it clicked last year. In this video, I'm going to break down why kids need chores and why it's important for you to have a why, when to start, a list of age-appropriate chores, and the new system that smart parents are using to make chores a breeze. And if you guys are new here, my name's Rachel from Confidently Mom. Welcome to my channel. I share kid product reviews and embodied parenting tips. And be sure to hit that subscribe and notification bell because in my next video, I'm going to talk about why kids can be resistant to chores as well as how allowance fits into the picture. So before we go any further, I want to pause real quick and say that chores are not free labor. I've seen the narrative on the internet way too many times where people claim that having your kids do chores is taking advantage of them. And I'm sorry, but that's simply not true in a healthy home. Because here's the thing, chores are actually really important for kids developing character and self-esteem. They teach responsibility, confidence, empathy, the ability to be on a team, which also makes them feel like they have a place or a role in the home or family. They can help with motor skills and their planning abilities. And yes, chores can even reduce unwanted bad behaviors. Because when kids are involved in meaningful work, they feel like they are part of something bigger. I know firsthand the impact that growing up in a home that never asks anything of you has on your self-esteem once you become an adult. I saw it firsthand with my husband. When I used to work as a substance abuse counselor, I saw it time and time again. Once my clients would get to halfway houses, there is a sense of accomplishment and pride that comes. Might not come like the day they're doing the chores or the morning after, but it will come in their life. I promise you that will far outweigh the resentment of a 25-year-old that doesn't know how to do their laundry. It can help with building trust, integrity, and helping them with self-regulation now. For instance, one of our friends, the dad chops his own firewood and their child wants to use the axe because, hello, doesn't that seem like fun when you're 8 years old? But using an axe is something that takes responsibility and trust, something that the child can now build by doing their smaller chores to show their dad that they are capable and ready to handle that added level of responsibility. Aside from that, doing physical activities can really help calm the nervous system. So I really want us to change the narrative that doing chores is not just about keeping your home clean, but rather about raising independent and capable little humans. I think it's really important to understand this before you go into implementing a chore system, because if you have any feelings of guilt or doubt about whether or not you should make your kids do chores, they're gonna feel that. They're gonna know that, and that's usually one way that chores end up failing in a household. So when it comes to starting chores, my opinion is the earlier, the better. Even if you're sitting here right now thinking my kids are just far too young for chores, I promise you this earlier you start this, the easier it's going to be. And it can be something small that even toddlers can help. It could be taking them to the car wash with you and having them grab any trash they find in the car, or letting them take a turn while using the little handheld vacuum thing, or squeegeeing the windshield. It could be they collect the empty toilet paper rolls from around the house, or they take everything out of the car and sort it into boxes. One box for toys, one box for mom and dad stuff, one box for spare clothes. Like whatever's happening in your car, there's probably a way that your toddler can actually help and get involved with it. And a few other tasks that they can start doing really young, like as early as 1 to 2 years old, are going to be like helping to collect laundry from around the house, or switching it from the washer to the dryer, or hitting the button to turn the laundry on. They could also put new rolls of toilet paper into each bathroom, so then when you're going to the bathroom, you can switch it if they don't have the dexterity to get it onto the actual new roll. They can even start wiping down surfaces that young, or help with sorting the laundry. And then as they get closer to 3, so like 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 years old, they can start helping with the laundry in a pretty big way. They can start by sorting different clothes, so like no fold items. So take out all of the dresses that you plan to hang if you have a daughter. You could have them start by sorting out all of the washcloths, and they can start folding washcloths that young. You could have them take out all of the shorts, like give them one specific item they're searching for in the pile and make a pile of that, is basically what I'm trying to say. And then you build on that as they grow and get better at it. But here's the big secret. You do not want to wait to do your housework for nap time or when they're not around. Instead, the question I want you to start asking yourself is, what can I consolidate to doing while my child is around? So for instance, I batch make cookie dough. I do a double batch, and then I roll them into 2 logs. So they're kind of like the store-bought logs. And I put one in the freezer and one in the fridge, so we always have fresh cookie dough. And so my kids obviously love to help with this just because they get to lick the spoons. And if you need to meal prep for dinner that night, go ahead, get them some kid knives and have them cut up the veggies while you are doing other things like maybe stirring something over the heat that they're not ready for. It definitely does take a little bit more time up front to do things like this, but usually when you have toddlers in the house, you have a little bit more time and it ultimately pays off huge in the long run. For more of my tips about doing laundry with kids, I have a short here I'll link in the description box below. But the other tip I want to say, especially when starting out younger, is that if your child is struggling with a task, resist the urge to redo it in front of them. Let them feel proud of the work they've done. This really helps you avoid a power struggle or a child becoming resistant to help you in the future. And so one thing I will say is, say you gave them the job of wiping down the kitchen table and they're just not doing a very good job of it. So maybe what you start doing is making it a shared chore where you do it with them until they have fully mastered how you like to have it done. If you want kids that help out around the house, I can't stress this enough, you cannot undermine them. So when you are selecting age-appropriate chores from them, make sure that you are assigning them things that they can do, or when you are introducing it, you're doing it with them until they graduate from doing it with you as a team effort. So I found this chart years ago, and I generally like it. I definitely modify it to match our family a little bit more, but basically the gist you'll see if you take some time to really read through it is that for 2 to 3-year-olds, a lot of these skills being worked have to do with sorting and very basic motor skills or strength building skills. As kids get older, the chart kind of moves more into care of self and care of space activities and more refined versions of those earlier skills they were working on. Not on that list, things that we personally add are tidying the backyard or the garage and washing the walls. So while I have used that as a guide, I've adjusted it for where our actual pain points are as a family. For instance, my kids really like to eat in my office because there's a TV in here and they were leaving it filthy. And I also shared on my Instagram how I also use this as my workout room. So every time I would sit down to work out, there'd be like pasta crumbs on the floor. It was not fun. So I made cleaning up the office a part of their daily chores before they were able to move on to their evening activity. And hopefully by now you're starting to see that chores and boundaries are something that go hand in hand, which leads me to the new chore system that I don't know why I didn't think of this sooner until I stumbled across it like a year ago. And that is basically taking the time management and productivity hack of time blocking and applying it to our kids' chore system. So instead of giving your kids a massive list of chores that they have to get done every single day, that inevitably leads to them procrastinating and then some evening meltdown struggle because the list is too big and there's not enough time. We are going to break the chore list down by time of day. Basically, with time blocking your chores, you are giving your child a set of morning, afternoon, and evening chores that they must complete before they are able to move on to the thing they really want to do. So in the morning, they may have to make their bed, put their pajamas in their hamper, brush their teeth, whatever. And then once they're done with all of that, they can go ahead and play. In the afternoon, they may have to water the plants, set the dinner table, put away their laundry, and then they can have their screen time. In the evening, they have to clear the dinner table, put their toys away for the day, and set out whatever it is they're going to need for the morning before they're able to have dessert. And obviously you can adjust that for your family, but you kind of get the general idea. Is we got to get our responsibilities done and then we can do the really fun thing. This is a system that I have implemented. I've been in business for myself for 8 years and I generally do 3 tasks and then I get to do the thing I want to do. That gives you a nice steady momentum throughout the day and it personally has worked really well for me and it's been working really well for my kids. Now with that said, this is obviously very close to a reward punishment system. So if you don't do your chores, you're not allowed to go outside and play. I have talked on this channel in the past about the difference between modern versus traditional parenting, and I think a lot of it has to do with intentions and we're overcomplicating things with the gentle parenting movement. But I will say, if you can phrase things in a positive way, so instead of no TV until your afternoon chores are done, say you get TV as soon as your chores are done, is obviously going to be a more supportive statement. But if you do find yourself saying no TV until the chores are done, I really just don't want you to beat yourself up because again, I think intention says so much more. And if you're not using that as a punishment, you're instead just stating these are the facts or boundaries of our house, and then will be received like that. I find that it's people who hold guilt. That's why I had my whole intro about why chores are so important. People who hold guilt about giving chores or holding boundaries end up creating more power struggles in their life because they're sort of like plugged into that energy dynamic. So it keeps playing out. That's my 2 cents on that. Making sure your energy is really clean, making sure that whatever system it is you choose to implement, you feel really good and confident about it. And if you need help getting started on a chore chart, head to my Etsy shop because I have an editable chore chart in the description box below. A few different fun themes. If there's a different theme you want me to make for your kids special, feel free to drop it in the comments below too. I'm happy to do that. But you can go ahead and download and edit the ones that have your kid's name, to write out your specific chores. There's even a little spot where if you have weekly chores, so maybe they're not like daily, kids once a week have to put away the laundry. Once a week, they wipe down the doorknobs of our house. Once a week, they pick up all of the stuff from the backyard. And so usually on their afternoon or evening chore chart, it will say pick one weekly chore to do. And the other thing I do, which will save you a ton of frustration, is to make sure whatever chore chart you go with, it fosters independence in your child. So give them something that is at their eye level. They can personally check the tasks off. For younger kids that can't read, I would suggest using a picture chore chart. I personally like to print it out and then I use this little sleeve. You could also use like a picture frame from the Dollar Tree or even like contact paper from the Dollar Tree. Basically anything that you can use with a dry erase marker that can wipe clean, so you're not having to print out a new chore chart every single week or worry about it getting ruined with water. And kids can just go ahead and check things off as they go. Make sure to hit that subscribe and notification bell so that you don't miss my next video where I'm talking about how to handle chore resistant kids as well as allowance. In the meantime, be sure to go ahead and head to my Etsy shop, link in the description box below, and download my chore chart. And until next time, my name's Rachel. Have a good one.